Okay, so welcome again. This is Workshop 2, learning about effective online content presentation inside of Blackboard Learn. The agenda, well, actually I'll start here. If anyone hasn't met me this morning, this is me in a nutshell on a slide. I am a senior instructional designer for Open SUNY, among many other things, as I'm sure you are. And it just sort of references some of the places that I've been and the things I've done. And if you have any questions or want to be able to contact me, I'll put up my email also at the end of the session. This is being recorded, so you will be able to get the slides after, and you can also watch the session again to see how to do things that were shown to you during this afternoon. So I'm going to point out two resources that we're going to be using today. The first one is the bundler, and if you were here this morning you saw this, but the bundler has a particular item on it called Blackboard Learn Tip Sheets. The tip sheets are really valuable, and you can actually print that out. It's really valuable for you because it lists every tool in Blackboard and what it does. It also tries to explain the difference between some of the tools that you're going to see today. So I'm not going to spend time going over that document. You should use it as a reference, and that way it will help you when you are trying to go back and remember what things were. Okay, and it'll show you how to use those things. Okay. The other resources, again, on Blackboard, they have their own help site, help.blackboard.com, if you would like step-by-step instructions with screenshots for how to do anything that you're shown today. And if you prefer watching it done via video tutorial, you can go to the On-Demand Center. If you use YouTube, Blackboard has their own YouTube channel with all kinds of tutorial videos for you. It's very helpful. Okay. Our agenda for this afternoon looks short and sweet, but we're actually spending a good amount of time in the last two areas. We're going to be building content in some practice courses today, and then I'd like to try to leave time at the end for anyone who needs to see something demonstrated again. Because there's so much to go over, and because everyone is using a different browser, or you have some are using Mac, some are using Windows, there are all kinds of technical things that can get in the way of the things that I'm going to show you working well for you. So if at some point you would like a repeat of anything, we'll just save that till the end, and I'd be happy to do that, okay, and show you again. So we've already talked about some housekeeping things. We're going to do a little icebreaker together. Then we're going to get into the demo courses. If you were here this morning, you can get back into the same course. And we're going to be building content items today. We're going to talk about structuring your course. And what are the structural units of a course? How do you organize your course content? And what kinds of tools in Blackboard will help you do that effectively? We're also going to be using something called the HTML editor. It is the box in which you type your content, and there are several tools associated with that that we'll be playing with today. And we'll wrap up, of course, with a preview of Workshop 3 so that you can see what's coming down the road if you are continuing the series with us. All right, so we are going to work on getting you in and getting you working inside of a course. Before we actually do that, I just want to refresh our memory, and for those that weren't here this morning, to frame what we do this afternoon, we want to consider these three core pedagogical components. This is what we will use to frame everything that we make and build. To construct meaningful activities. So there's the presentation, how we present the content, and what tool we use to do that, how we ask students to engage or interact with that content, and then how do we assess that learning has occurred? Do we create an activity? Do we do a test? Do we do a discussion? All kinds of things, right? As was stated in our chart that we just did together, learning online is very reading and writing intensive. We know that, but not all of our learners have that skill set, especially to that sort of degree. So considerations may need to be made for how you present content so that you can have more opportunities for engagement and reach a variety of learning modalities. So it is sometimes a challenge for the instructor too if you learn a certain way and then you teach that way and you kind of dismiss other learning styles. And that's very easy to do. So we want to consider how might we use this Blackboard to be able to pull in some of those other abilities from our students that we know that they have. Are there other ways that they can showcase their learning to us? Okay, so let's get ourselves into a course. And again, if you were in Workshop 1, if you could use the same number, that just might be helpful for you to get around and navigate in the same course you were in. If you were not here in Workshop 1, you're going to want to go to the website there, which I will type in the chat for you. And you're going to want to log in with a demo number. Okay? So what that means is, thank you, Harold, and if you could throw up in the chat what number you are, that's helpful. You also need to know that there could be another person in the course with you. That's okay. It's just that some things may appear and disappear that you didn't intend to do. These are just practice courses. You can't break them. It's okay. But you would put, just as Harold wrote there, you'd put demo and the number all together, one word. So demo 09 or demo 22. And then the password is SUNY in all capital letters. Okay? So I'll give you a minute to get in there, and then I'll do a quick check before I start the app sharing. Anyone that does have a practice course from their campus, you can do this building in your practice course. I'm going to be in our SUNY site. So Sharon, if you want to stay there, that's totally fine. If you'd like a demo course at any point in the future, just as a sandbox to play in, you can use one of these demo numbers. Okay? So it's telling me that my desktop has loaded. Is anyone having any problems seeing my Blackboard? Okay, great. So once you're logged in, and I'm still on the home page, right? Once you log in, you want to go to your training course. And it's called Training and then your number, Migration Training Course. So you would click on the title of that course to enter into it, just like we did this morning. Some of you may actually still be in there from this morning. Okay. Now, for what we're doing this afternoon, we want to be in our lessons area. We want to talk about building content for the course. This is where we're putting up everything the students need. So we need to be in that area of the course. In the demo courses, it was originally called lessons. It may be called learning modules or course content if you are working on a practice course for your institution. It may be called something different, but you want to go into lessons. All right, so go ahead into your lessons area. And in here, you're going to find a couple of different types of objects. These are all called learning objects, and they're really just tools in Blackboard. Okay, and I'm going to point out the icons and explain to you what each one is. But remember, you don't have to know all of this and memorize it. Okay, this is something that reference guide that I showed you on Bundler has all of this laid out for you for review. So this first icon here, it sort of looks like a notebook with divider tabs. That is something called a learning module. And it's pretty much a folder with a table of contents around it. So to check that out, all you have to do is click on course information, and you can see what a learning module looks like. It's opening up here for me. Okay, so this is a learning module. It has all of the content here, and then on the left-hand side, there is a table of contents where I can hop around to different sections, almost just like a 5-section divider kind of binder, right? So I can click on, let's say I want to look at how I will be evaluated. I can click on that in my table of contents, and it will, oh goodness, it will be very, very slow. Yes, Connie, you can. So now usually you can drag and drop over here, right, in the middle, and then you can come over here and refresh your table of contents. Okay, do you see how I did that? So you take the item on the right and you drag it and drop it where you want it, and then you come over to your table of contents and click that refresher. So that's how you would rearrange items. The table of contents is reflected in the items right there. So whatever you do there, that's what the table of contents shows. So David, if you look on my screen, the refresher is right here. It's tiny little gray arrows. Okay. Maureen, does your course information just have the syllabus? Okay, so the way I got to this was over here in Lessons, and it happens to be this course information right here with the binder icon. That's an example of a learning module. Oh, no worries. Okay, good. All right, so that's a learning module. Now you can choose to just do a standard folder, like you see down here in Module 3, or you can do a learning module so that your folder contents have this table of contents wrapped around. Now, why would you want to do one over the other? Well, a standard folder is just that. If we look down here under Module 3, right, if I open Module 3, it has content too, right? It's got all my content here. It just doesn't have a table of contents. What the learning module allows you to do with the table of contents is you can force sequential viewing. And what that means is you can lock down items so that students have to view them in order. This is useful if, for example, you're going to have a quiz at the end and you don't want students to access the quiz before they've clicked on all the other information. Now, there is no way to guarantee that they've read that information, right? It just means that they clicked on it to open it. So you could do that, okay? So the sequential viewing is just a way for you to try to lock down different areas in your content without allowing students to access it before they've gone through other areas. And again, you can't guarantee they've done anything or read anything. They've just clicked on it and opened it, okay? So we have a learning module and we have a folder. For our purposes, when we create, we're going to use a folder as the standard unit of organization, okay? So in your lessons, go ahead and click on Module 3 to open it. This is an example of what a week of content would look like. And certainly this will vary depending on your course and the content that you might actually use. But it gives the module number and it says the date that this module will be due. That means all work in here needs to be completed by February 7th, right? Certain items inside this folder may have other due dates. For example, you may have to submit an assignment on February 3rd and take a test on February 6th, but the entire folder needs to be wrapped up by the 7th. Some people also like to, in the title, instead of putting dates, they like to put the content that's being covered. So it might say Module 3, Chapters 4 through 6. Or it might say Module 3, Industrial Revolution, right? So it may say what in particular is being covered in that module. So Module 3 is in Lessons. You have to go back to your navigation and click Lessons. And then you'll find Module 3. Okay. If you click on Module 3, you can open up that folder and get a preview of what might be in here. So most modules, most weekly folders will contain an overview for the week or the objectives. So an overview is sort of a, here's what we're learning. The objectives are, here's what I want you to be able to accomplish. And it would detail, here are the activities that you're going to do to accomplish that. For example, you can see the third item down is Discovering Computers, Chapter 3. This is a test. That's what this icon represents. So there's going to be a test on computers. There is going to be a wireless communication report. That icon indicates a Dropbox. That's an assignment where students would electronically upload their assignment. Okay, so we have a test. We have a report. There's another report here on antiviruses. There's a discussion forum about alternatives to using Google. There may be some PowerPoint presentations. There could be a resource folder. Again, these are going to vary depending on what you do. There might be some how-to videos. If this is a computer course, they may have some videos on how to actually do certain tasks. And the last link there is an audio summary of the chapter. Sometimes a nice way to change up how you present content is to record yourself, giving a summary of the chapter or the notes, or to have a narrated PowerPoint so that the students can hear your voice, they can feel your presence a little bit more than just reading your words on the page. Some instructors like to give the overview for the week in an audio format as well, or a video. So they sort of introduce the week that way. It's a nice personal kind of touch there. Okay. So this is a sample of a module. And again, when we talk about module, it's to structure the unit of structure for the week. Some modules could be a week long, 2 weeks long. They could be by topic or unit. They could be by chapter. Okay, so there's a lot of ways to structure your course. It just makes sense for whatever you are actually teaching, and also how you would do this face-to-face. You can translate that in the same way to the online. So I'm going to use this breadcrumb trail at the top that I mentioned to you before. You can also go back to lessons in the menu if you want. So I'll go back here to lessons. So we have Module 3. Module 4 is just another sample of a week. And then there is a folder called Example Content. Okay. We're going to take a look in here so that I can show you, once you make a folder, how do you actually add a page of notes or information items or a file. So there's examples of that in here. So I'm back over in Lessons, and I scrolled down to the bottom, and I'm going to open this folder called Example Content. So be sure to stop me if I lose you. Okay, this folder gives you an idea of the different types of things that you can do in Blackboard. So the first one is a test. You can give a test. Tests are in a variety of ways. There's all kinds of question types, essays, and so forth. And we'll get into that in Workshop 4. Peer review, you can create a self and peer assessment, and this is simply where the student would submit something, let's say it's an essay, and their peers would review it using a rubric or whatever guidelines you have attached to that assignment. So that's a self and peer assessment. This next paper, Romeo and Juliet, this is something called a safe assignment. Some of your campuses might have a license for Turnitin. What these tools are originality checkers. They check for plagiarism, okay? And so the student submits the paper, and if you're using this particular tool, the Safe Assign or Turnitin would scan the essay, scan the paper, and it would come back with a report for the instructor about how much of the content is original and where it might note that it thinks it was plagiarized, and it would give some source material. In the past, some of us, if I told you before I was a past life English teacher, we had to kind of paste some things in Google and search for the things that we thought were not the student's original words, but these tools make life a lot easier in that regard. Safe Assign is built in with Blackboard, but it's a building block with Blackboard. If you have a Turnitin license on your campus, you can still use Turnitin. It's just not a tool in Blackboard. You would have to submit the papers to Turnitin yourself. Okay. If I scroll down here, we mentioned a few of these. Wikis, blogs, and journals are going to be covered in Workshop 3. They are some of the interactive tools with how to get students engaging with one another. This next one, tablets versus textbooks. This was set up as a group assignment, but even if it were an individual student assignment, this is what they would get. They would get some directions, and then they have a drop box to attach. They would actually upload and search for their paper or their essay or their report and attach it. Okay. In a group assignment, everyone in the group can see the submissions. In a regular, normal assignment, only the instructor sees the students' submissions. The students don't see each other's unless it's set up as a peer assessment. Okay, but you do have the opportunity to do both. Then we get down here to File, Item, and Page. I'm looking at the Georgia State University Fair Use Decision. So there are three things here, three objects that all are about that. And the reason they're all here is to show you that there are three tools in Blackboard. There's a file, an item, and a page. And each one does something a little different, even if the content's the same. So we used the same content to show you how to present it in three different ways. Okay? The first is a file. And if you click on it, it tries to open and download the file. And you can see it right there. It's a PDF, and it opens nicely inside Blackboard. There's also a link at the top if the student needs to click and download it to their computer. So you'll notice a file is just that. It's an attachment. And I'll go back down here so that you can see it. There we go. A file is just an attachment. Okay? So you can click on it, and it should download. And actually, if it doesn't, Maureen, you might right-click and open it in a new window. Yours might have been not tampered with, but you know, if somebody else was trying to configure the demo course, it might have been modified. So that's a file. You'll notice there's no text around it like there is on the item. With a file, all I can do is attach something. I don't get to type any text around it, okay? So that is something to note. If you want to add text on it, you want a different one. Right, these are files that you would have saved on your computer or on your flash drive or somewhere else. These are files that you have that you just want to upload. It could be a Word document, a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, anything at all, okay? If it's a safe assignment, it is actually, yes, Marcia, it's under assessments. Assignments are under there, but the safe assignment is built into the assignment tool. It's just a checkbox that you check when you're configuring it, okay? And there are, David makes a good point about YouTube links. We're going to share how to do that with the mashup tool, but you can certainly embed YouTube videos, and we'll be doing that too. Okay, so let me go through item and page and explain to you the difference here, and then you can decide, you know, based on what you're doing, which might work. If you are just uploading your syllabus and you don't really need to say anything around that, you can just use file. You're just attaching your syllabus for students to download, and you get to label the title. So you could put, you know, course syllabus, please print out, or whatever you'd like to say there. If it's something that you want to attach the file, but then you also want to give maybe a summary or some background information or tell the students what they should be looking for when they read this article, then you can use an item. An item allows you to link it right here, and you can see under the title, the PDF is still linked there, so it's attached. But then I also have the ability to type some text. So I can give a little bit of background on this item. Notice though, with an item, I can't click on the title of it. It doesn't open. An item is static on the page. It doesn't open. It doesn't contain anything. Everything is right on the front. But conversely, with a page, which is the last one at the bottom, I can still attach the file, and I can put the text inside on the page. If I click the title of the page, it opens up, and the text is inside. Now, of course, it opened up in the editor for me, and if you don't want to see it in editing mode, you know from session 1 that you would just turn your edit mode off up here. So I could turn my edit mode off and see it as a page. Okay. So the real difference, a file is just an item that's attached, right? A document that's attached. An item allows you to attach the file and also give a short little description on the front. A page allows you to click, open up the page, and have the description inside along with the attachment. The recommendation is to use a page when you have a lot of text, and you can use an item when you have a little bit of text. So you can see that if I were typing and typing and typing, my page could get very long. And if you did that on an item, it would take up a lot of space on the front layer. So you could click on the title and go into a page instead and have all kinds of room to work. Okay. Are there questions on those? File, item, and page? Are they clear as mud? Yeah, an item is kind of like a small page. Sure. It's not something you can click and open. It's just right there. Okay. I'm going to turn my edit mode back on. The advantage, David, is when you are looking to, for example, if I was going to embed a video or have something really lengthy, I'd want a page because a page gives me more real estate, right? It gives me more space to work. An item only gives me a small little snippet. All right, let's try to build now, and we're going to be using a page, but we also are going to be building a folder for our training content that we build today. So I need you to go back in your breadcrumb trail here over to Lessons, or you can do it in your menu, whichever you prefer. Go back to Lessons. And you're going to be building content here that we will keep at the top of the page so that you can always access it. Okay. If you look at the toolbar across the top, this is where you have instructor tools that you can use. Build content. If you drop that menu down, you have a lot of options in here. We're going to work in this one today. Assessment is where you would find tests, surveys, even assignments. Okay? And tools is where your discussion boards are and all of your interactive elements. Partner content is something if you have a third-party publisher and their building block is installed on your Blackboard, you can find your textbook. You can find other content from your publisher like PowerPoints for the chapters and that sort of thing. So we're going to be over here under Build Content. And the first thing that I would like you to select is over here, and it's called Content Folder. Now this is always the part where it gets tricky when we're all building together. We are all at different abilities, right? So we're all going to be in different places with this. If you have a question, please either raise your hand or pop it in the chat because I want to help you and not have you get behind, okay? So Content Folder. Now what it's asking you for is a name and a description for this folder. So for our purposes, I'm just going to call this Training Folder, or Workshop Folder, or Help Me Learn Blackboard, or whatever you'd like to call it, so that you know it's not part of the demo course. It's a training folder that you're working in for the duration of these sessions. Now the text, this is what would appear on the outside of the folder before the student enters the folder. So what kinds of things might go there? Well, you could give a description of the content inside the folder. You could note the dates that the student would work in these folders. You might want to explain the topics or chapters that are in the folder. You can also leave this blank if you would like to. You can just title the folder. You don't have to put a description here at all if you don't want to. You'll notice under the title I can change the color. The color changes the name of the title. So I can choose something, you know, completely obnoxious and click Apply. No. Don't do yellows, you know, bright greens, those kinds of things. Do a little number on the eyes, but you can pick something if you want to, you know, somehow distinguish certain folders from others. Pink. If I scroll down under the description box, there are some other options. There are some settings here on my folder. The first one asks if I want users to view the content. Well, yes, I do want users to view it. I can, if I ever choose no, that means I hide the folder from the students. But in order to release it, I have to come back in here and click yes. Okay, so usually you want to leave this on yes, and then if you want to restrict access, you can just restrict it by dates right here. Okay, so these dates mean I can display after or display until, which is the same as open and close. When do you want the folder to open to students, and when do you want it to close? And so here's sort of the pedagogical discussion, right? Some instructors like to leave all of their course content open all the time. Others prefer to leave a week or two open, and then they'll close it and open another week, close that previous one and open another week, so that to try to keep all the students at the same pace throughout the course. And then there are other instructors who just say, well, you know, if all my folders are open, I can choose to open and close assignments or discussion forums or tests. So you can leave the folder open so students can always access it, but you can close the different activities when you're done doing them or when grading is finished, that kind of thing. So you have to think about what's going to work for you. Would you want all of your content accessible, or would you want to close things and open them as you're ready, as the dates permit? Okay, so setting dates here allows that to happen manually. You're telling Blackboard when to open and close these folders. For our purposes for training, I'm going to leave them open so that we're sure we can see everything that we're creating today. And then you just click Submit at the bottom. And when you get back to the lessons page, your folder will be all the way down at the bottom. So you're going to want to grab it and drag it all the way to the top, so you don't have to scroll down every time we come back to this page. So if you grab it, drag it all the way up, and place it right at the top so you can access it easier. If the drag and drop doesn't work, there are double arrows all the way to the right for keyboard accessibility, and you can click on that and simply choose the item and move it up or down. And then you would click Submit when you've got that where you want it. Okay? The other thing is you want to be here on the lessons page when you build it. If you were inside the example content folder or inside one of the sample modules, you may have built it inside there. Part of the trick with building content, too, to keep in mind is that you want to be in the space where you want that item to appear when you build it. Okay, so if I went into any other area and I built something, then it's in the wrong place. Now, there are ways to move it, which is handy, and I'll show you that right now. So next to your training folder, don't click on it to enter it, but if you hover over it, you should get a little gray arrow next to it. That's where you're going to go back in and edit things. And this little gray arrow is not visible on the items unless you hover over them. Once you hover over the title, that little gray drop-down will appear. And when you open that, that's when you can edit that object. Okay, this isn't just true of folders, but that's where editing would reside. You'll notice in that list, there's also copy and move. So you can move it to another place if for some reason you put it in the wrong place. You can also copy it if you want to duplicate whatever it was that you made. And of course, you can delete it. But just note, if it's a folder and you delete the folder, you're deleting everything in the folder. Okay? Oh, good, Jennifer. Okay, I'm glad you got it. All right, so now we have our folder, and we're going to go inside the folder and build a page and learn how to use some of the HTML editor tools. So you're going to click on the title of your folder to go inside of it. And it should look a lot like this. There shouldn't be anything in there. And it'll tell you it's time to add content. Okay? So this time under Build Content, we're going to choose Blank Page. See where I am over here? Blank Page. Because that's going to give us the most space to work with. Certainly we could practice an item or a file, but we'll do Blank Page and do it all in the same spot. So when you choose Blank Page, it brings you, of course, to editing mode again. You need to give your page a title up here. I'm just going to call this Practice Notes. And you can keep it black if you want. You can make it pink for hope. You can make it any color that you would like. All right, so now we have a big editor box. And this is where we can start typing text. So this may be our lecture notes. This may be overview of a module, chapter summary. It could be a lot of things, right? This is a page. The color won't take until you save the page. So you select the color here, and then you won't see it until we're done. Okay, so you have lecture notes, all kinds of things that you can type on this page. What I'd like you to do is type a line of text, and then I'm going to show you how to do some of the linking in the other tools. So this is a line of text. Okay. Okay. We'll go ahead in the content area box here and type a line of text so we can work with some other tools. Okay? I'm going to go through a few of these on the row. Now, many of these you're already going to know, right, from working with Word and other processing applications. So you've got your bold, your italics, underline, and strike through. These are your basic text tools. Your paragraphing, if you need to do any formatting for that. There are a few options here in the font family, more than Angel had, so there's kind of a nice variety here if you would like to change your text type. What I really like if you were an Angel user is you no longer have to guess if it's small, medium, large, or extra large. There's font size in the editor now, which is a great thing. Okay, so you can select your font size. And then you have bullets and numbering. Okay. The next one over here is your actual text color. So if I wanted to highlight chapter summary, but I wanted the text to be bright blue, I can do that. Okay. The one next to that is the highlighter. That's the background, right? So the T one is the text color. I'll highlight the word module, and we'll try the highlighter. Okay, so give this stuff a try as I'm going through it. See if you can highlight some text and change the color, or highlight the text and do the background. Good. Oh, of course. All right. If for some reason there is something that you do that you don't like, you can highlight it and use this little eraser tool at the end of the first row, and it removes the formatting for you. Okay, so you can say, oh, you know, I formatted that a certain way, but I don't like it. You can also select the whole thing. If you pasted it in from somewhere else and the formatting is goofy, you can use this eraser and take off the formatting. And then it'll just be straight text. Okay. All right, so the next line is pretty straightforward. You've got cut, copy, and paste. And you can just paste in from Word. It is much better at receiving that sort of thing. There is a search, find, if you have a long document and you need to find a piece of text in there. Okay, and this is my favorite, undo, along with spell check, but undo really does save my butt quite a lot of times. So you can type something and, you know, if you did formatting or you did something that you didn't mean to, here's the undo button. It's a teacher's favorite tool. And there will also be redo, you know, if you need to redo something you just undid. Here's your alignment, left, center, right, justified, and then your indents if you need to change your indents. These are all pretty standard editing tools. And you've got your text superscript, subscript, for those of you doing some formulas and that sort of thing. There are two grayed out links. And the reason they're grayed out is because you can't actually insert a link unless you've selected the text where you want to insert it. So I'll show you how that works in just a minute. I'm going to come back to that. Okay. These are some paragraphing right here. You can move your paragraph directionals. And then you've got lines. If you want to put in some lines, And finally, your other favorite tool is your spell checker. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, you'll see if you drop down the spell checker, there's UK English, US English, and Spanish. These are the language packs that are enabled right now. Your campus has the ability to enable language packs. If there is a population of your students that would benefit from having their Blackboard the directions in Blackboard and all of that in a different language, in their native language, you can ask that. Yes, it does have Korean also. There are over 40-something languages, I think, that it has. And you can, once the language pack is enabled, you can change this to the spell checker for that language. Okay. I don't know about Mandarin. If it's that specific or if it's just Chinese, I don't know how far it delineates with the different dialects. But that's a good question. And whoever is your Blackboard administrator on your campus, they are the ones that would know your language packs that are available. Oh, okay. Thank you. I learned something new today. All right, so let me go back to these links so that I can show you how this works. If you want to have a specific text become the hyperlink. So what I said here is this is a line of text to work with hyperlinks and other fun stuff. I'm going to highlight the word hyperlinks. And as soon as I highlight it, now I can click on this link icon. So I'm going to click to insert a link right there. That way, when my student clicks on the word hyperlink, it's going to take them to a web page. That's the point of a hyperlink. It can also be a place where I upload a document to. So I might say something like, read this article and respond to yada yada. And when I highlight the word article, this can be a link to the actual article. So the student clicks the word article and it downloads the PDF of that particular article. Okay. So let's try it. Highlight any word on your page and click the link icon. Okay. Now, if it is a website, a URL, this is where it goes. I go to the website, I copy and paste it, and I put it in the link path right here. Okay. If it is a document, I would want to browse my computer and find that document to upload. Yes, and so Hope asked if I upload the PDFs this way, will it transfer? Yes, one of the things that happens is any file that I upload into my course like this, it lives in my content collection. That's the placeholder for all these files. So next semester, when I transfer this course over, it's still reading that path. It still knows where to reference those materials. Okay. So in this case, I'll just put a website, but you can certainly browse the computer and you can find a document if you feel like playing with an actual person. I did type this in, David, yeah, just for sake of doing something quickly, but you could certainly open a browser window and go to a website and copy and paste that in. Okay, so the target, here's something interesting. A lot of times folks never change this target, and you can do it a couple different ways. If I open it in this window, I would do that when I have a PDF, like Hope was saying, because then it opens right inside Blackboard real nice for me, a PDF or a document. I like to change the target to a new window if I'm doing a web page. And the reason I like to do that is because then it opens in a new tab in my browser, and if a student closes that, they don't close Blackboard. They're only closing that window. So sometimes what happens when we leave it in that frame, when we leave it in the same window, is that the students want to close the web page and they end up closing all of Blackboard. You can do the parent window or the top frame. If you do the top frame, though, you sometimes lose the navigation, so you have to be careful about that. Now, you might say, well, why would I need a title? Because it's Google, so isn't it just going to do that? No, it's not just going to do that. The title is actually for screen readers who pass through that. It's going to let the student know that that's a hyperlink to that website. Okay? Or you can put in the title of the paper, article, or whatever that you're going to do. So it actually says article on, blended learning or something like that. Okay? The title is really for helping with that ADA compliance issue. All right, once you get that in there, you can click Insert. If you don't see it, just open your window a little more. Insert is all the way down and over to the right. Now you'll be able to see that it's underlined and it's a link, but you can't click on this and test it because you're still in editing mode, okay? So any hyperlinks you put in here, you're going to have to submit the page before you can test those, right? And we'll do that in just a moment to save the work that you've done so far before we go playing with some other tools. But I just want you to know when you come in here, you can't just click on this and get it to open because you're still editing. Okay. Yeah, a lot of this part, David, is very similar to Angel. Yep, it's very similar. Did you notice, though, one of the things that was not a choice was to link to an area inside my course? You were able to do that in Angel. You could put an internal link here. So I could say, read the syllabus, and I can highlight syllabus and link to it. That doesn't happen on a page in Blackboard. You can do that over here in your menu, in your navigation menu, like we did here with the syllabus. You can attach course links there, but you can't do it on a page anymore like you used to be able to in Angel. But a lot of the rest of it's the same. The hyperlinking is the same. The text kind of functionality is the same. Okay. So I know that there are more features underneath, but I would like you to submit your page so that we make sure to preserve all the work you've done so far. Okay? So if you would just click your blue Submit button, and then inside your folder you should see your practice notes right there. Okay? What you need to do now is you're going to test that link and just make sure your page looks the way you want it to. So in order to view your page, remember if you just click on it, it's going to open the editor. So to view your page, you want to turn your editing mode off. The Submit button for your page should be all the way down at the bottom right or top right. Okay, so turn your editing mode off, and then you can click on your practice notes and see your page. You can also click on what you hyperlinked and test that out to make sure that it launches. And you can see when I hover over it, the title I gave it is what appears. That's the point of giving those titles. Okay. I'll go back, David, for you. I'm going to turn my editing mode back off. So in here on your page, there's Submit at the top. And there's also Submit all the way at the bottom. Awesome. Good. Okay, so once you submit, you can turn your edit mode off and then click and view your page, see how it looks. When you're ready to go on, we're going to do some more editing. We want to turn your edit mode back on. And then just click on your notes page and open it right back up in the editor. All right. So now, the third row. There's some other great tools here in the third row. Many of them we won't be working with, but I'll let you know what they are. The first one, I think, affords your students and you a really unique opportunity. This is something called Video Everywhere. Now, not every campus has turned this on. That's a campus decision, but we do make this tool available. And what Video Everywhere allows you to do is at any point in time you see this icon, you can click it. It will launch your webcam and start recording. And then it will embed it right here wherever you have put your cursor on your page. So it embeds this little thumbnail video of what you record. So maybe I started typing these notes and now I want to give a little audio summary or video summary. I can launch my video everywhere as long as I have a webcam. And then, yes, Maureen, it does ask you to sign into YouTube because that is where it stores the videos. However, it stores them as, oh, I can't remember the name. Let me see if I launch it. It's not searchable. There it is, unlisted. So it will ask you to sign into YouTube, and then it will store them there. Now, if you don't have a YouTube account, you can't use this particular function. There is a way for you to upload YouTube videos. This is different, okay? You can upload YouTube videos that already exist using the mashup tool, but this one allows you to record live right there and then your videos are stored on YouTube. So what I'll do is I'm going to sign in for you so that you can see how this works. If you did have a YouTube account, you could see how this would work. Okay, so I could click record and start recording myself. But because I signed into YouTube, it also, if I click browse, it'll pull my library. So if I already have a YouTube account, once I sign in, I can look at my library and I can say, oh, let's embed this one. So I'm going to say insert, just to give you an example. You're not going to see all of these, but I just want to show you how this would work. So I'll insert a video, and I'll say insert, okay? So now I have this yellow block, and it doesn't look like anything has happened, but it's a placeholder. When I save my page, I'll be able to see my video, okay? So that is one way to bring in videos that you have on YouTube that you've already created, but it also allows you to create a web video right on the spot. Now here's something interesting about this. This is an instructor tool right now, but when students submit an assignment, they also get that ability. They get that little function in their message box. So you could ask students to submit their assignments using the webcam, or to give a presentation, or to lead a talk. You can also, that little icon is also on essay questions and on short answers in a test. So it's yet another way that students can share their information with you. And sometimes it's nice to ask them to do that because then you know it's them who is actually the one engaging in the activities. You can see your students. So there are a lot of possibilities. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how that particular tool works. The one right next to it is the paperclip, and this is another way that you can insert a file. So this one right here, I have inserted the article, and you can upload it there. But if you just want it as a link to download, you could use this little clip here. So let's say I want to tell students to open the file and read the chart provided, okay? So one of the things that I can do is open the file. I'll highlight that. I'll use this little attachment button, and I can browse my computer and go find a file, okay? So of course you can do all kinds of things. Let's see. Okay, so you could upload a file, and you would, of course, you'd put in the text. So this is the chart or whatever it's going to be, and you could submit. So this is a different way that these open. See how it actually has the name of the document? That's different than if it just says, here's the article, and you click the word article. This is an actual file. So I would tell my students, open this and read the chart provided. So they click on it. So there's multiple ways to get content into your course. You can use the attachment button, and it just pulls in the file with whatever the file name was that you gave it. Or you can type a word and use the hyperlink to browse your computer and pull it in that way. Okay, or you can do this video everywhere to do a video caption of yourself. Now, if you're somebody who's a little bit video shy, you can also just put a little sticky note over your webcam, and you can do an audio capture. It works just as well. Yes. So right. So Hope, this is an issue that's going to persist regardless of how we do it, really, because there are certain browsers, like with Firefox, where that shield will appear up in your address bar, because it's going to try to render this content as secure content. And so, especially with Internet Explorer, you've got to tell it that it's okay. And so if something doesn't play, the student has to know to go up here in their browser and click that little shield to allow the content. It's, you know, the embedding helps with some of that more than just downloading something. Downloading something is where it gets really tricky, and sometimes it won't allow the student to download because of that. There is, you know, no easy solution because it's so browser specific. Is there a way to capture the screenshot for demoing software? So, Jennifer, I just need a little clarification. Do you mean that you want to actually do a demo and capture what you're doing? Yeah, I mean, Jing sounds like what you're trying to do. There's also Screencaster that works, or Screener, excuse me. Is that the kind of thing that you're thinking about? There's also Screencastify, which has a browser extension. If you look on my browser, do you see this little video icon here? If I click on that, it starts capturing my screen. It's something specific for Chrome. If you use Chrome, you can install that right in your toolbar. Screencast-O-Matic, yeah, you're getting a lot of good suggestions there. And of course, with any of these, you end up getting the link to that, and you can just post the link here on this page and tell students to watch the link, because the link takes them to your collection of videos and to that specific one. So it doesn't necessarily embed, but it will take them to whatever the tool is that you're using. Awesome. Yeah, all those ones that were suggested, Hope, are just like Jing. They work the same way. Jing is a little different. The other ones are third-party tools, so they're web-hosted. Jing you have to install locally on your computer. Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to move over here a little bit. So we did the video everywhere, and we did the attachment. Then we have, this is an image. If I just want to insert a picture, but this is a picture that I happen to have. I have it on my computer, on my flash drive. I have this picture somewhere. Okay, same with the next one. This is where you upload a video, but it's a video or an audio clip that you have, like a WMV file, right? Or maybe it's a podcast or something like that, but it's something you have on your computer or flash drive somewhere like that. Okay, it doesn't search other third-party tools. It actually asks you to browse your computer and find it. So you can practice this with the image one. You probably have a picture on your computer that you could use. You can also take it right out afterwards if you'd like to. So what I'll do is I'm going to go down here to the bottom and get underneath all of this work that I did. All right, here we go. And I'm going to click on this little picture image, and we'll try it. Let's give it a shot. So we'll click on the picture, and it wants to know where it can find the picture. So I'm going to browse my computer, and I'm going to go find a picture somewhere. I'll do the community of inquiry model that we have here. But you can find any picture on your computer and try to pull it in. It gives you a little preview down here. As long as you can see something in this window, it's there. The image description, again, and title, you can choose one or the other, but this is also very helpful for screen readers to go through. Okay. A caption to the picture, well, you could do that underneath, you can actually type underneath the picture or above the picture. But the title that you give it, if you hover over the picture with your cursor, once you've inserted it, it will pop up. So it's sort of like a caption. The title works sort of the same way. I'll show you here. CUI model. Okay. And then, let's see. If you want to put a border around your picture, that's what this appearance tab is up here. So you've got general and then you've got appearance. You can play around with this if you really wanted to. You can also change the alignment. So if you want it actually aligned to the right or to the left, you can tell it here where you want to align that picture. Okay? And so border, you just put in a number. And you'll learn as you play with Blackboard, the bigger the number, the bigger the border. So you can kind of just put a small number in there and see how it looks to you, if it's the right size or not. Okay? So those are just some other fun things you can do with your pictures. I'm going to click Insert. And so there is my picture with my border. And if I hover over it, you'll see that my title popped up. Now, of course, I can type above it or below it if I want to, add text around the picture. Now, if anybody's screen is getting a little bit crowded, like mine is, there is a way for you to open this up a little bit more, and that is all the way over here on the right. There's a 4-way directional arrow in your editor box that allows you to pop this open full screen. So you can do that if you're running out of room. I'm going to open this up. And now you can see I have all of my text and my picture and my video and everything. Okay? So sometimes you need more space, right, to work in, especially if you're going to paste something in. Maybe from Word you might need more room. So you can do that and open it up. If you want to shrink it back up, you would just click that 4-way arrow again at the top to exit full screen. You'll notice if I scroll all the way down, there's no Submit button here, right? Just like you Angel users, there's no Submit button when you expand your screen. You want to make sure that you close it, not close it, but exit full screen to make sure that you come back down and save, okay? Another thing that sometimes happens for folks is you'll come in to the editor and you're only going to see 1 or 2 rows of icons. You won't see all of them. That's because sometimes this is collapsed. If you look at the top right of your editor box, there's this double chevron arrow. It's show less or show more. So if I close that, you'll see I only have 1 line of tools. And you might say, well, where did all my tools go, right? You just need to click that double arrow and expand it. Okay, so that's something else that sometimes happens. I'll tell you the 2 number 1 help desk calls are that the edit mode was off because the instructor calls and says, I lost my tools and I can't find them. It's the edit mode is off, and then also this one here, that it's collapsed when it should be expanded. So little tricks for you so you don't forget that it's all there still. Okay. Once again, I'm going to save this work because I don't want to lose all of it before I get over here to working with the mashup tool. Okay. So if you could scroll all the way to the top or to the bottom and click your blue Submit button. I want you to preserve the work that you've done. And if you did try to do some sort of a video recorder, you can verify how that came out. I'm going to turn my edit mode off, and I'll open my practice notes page. And I can see here that my video that I pulled in from that Video Everywhere that opened up my YouTube library, it's right here. Okay. Can everyone see that? I hope it's displaying well for you. Okay, good. And I can keep going down, and I have a picture down here too. So all of my stuff is there, okay? And again, you can test your links and make sure that everything works, okay? So when you're ready to go back in, we're going to put our editing mode back on, go back into the page. And the other thing we want to practice are mashups. Okay, so I'm going to come underneath my picture, give myself lots of space here underneath. This mashup tool has a couple different things that you can pull in, and different campuses will have a variety in their list. For example, there are some campuses that use something called Ensemble Video, and it is a repository. It sort of works like YouTube, but it's campus hosted, and all your videos that you create live on your campus server. Okay, so that might be something that's in this list. Some campuses don't have Blackboard Collaborate, so that won't be in there. But the three standard ones are SlideShare, Flickr, and YouTube. So in case you're not familiar with this, I know everybody probably knows YouTube for videos. Flickr is a photo repository. These are people's pictures that they have taken. Yep, Picasa is another one. Picasa, I believe, has a building block too, instead of Flickr. But you'll have to check, Marcia, because I haven't used that one. I've just heard of it too, so I'm not sure. Yeah, the Flickr photo integration here, David, is one that only sources the Creative Commons licensed photos. So these are for photos that people have tagged to be able to be reused. And SlideShare, if you're not familiar with SlideShare, these are people's PowerPoint presentations or other forms of, like even Prezi presentations. And you can search SlideShare for any sort of slide deck or presentation that you want to pull in here for your students to look at. An example for this might be, let's say you're at a conference or a workshop and the presenter has something great and you want to share it with your students. You could ask them if they have it uploaded to SlideShare, and then you can come in here and search for it. Well, here, see, and here's the thing that's interesting too, David. Some of this, you know, with fair use, right, and everything, because Blackboard is a secure system and students have to log in to access the content, there is a lot more leeway with, you know, how much video you can use, how much of an article or a publication you can use. Thanks, Jasmine. Take care. So some of that, you know, it's all embedded here in Blackboard, and there are contracts that they have agreements with these different, you know, third-party people and vendors about. But yeah, there is. So, but you know, your librarians too are excellent resources for copyright. I always go to them for any kinds of questions that I have. They really do know their stuff when it comes to what can be used and how much. So let's take a look here and give this a whirl. We'll let you practice either with Flickr or YouTube. I'm just going to use YouTube because it's fairly popular and people like to see how it works, but you could do any one of these that you want. So under Mashup, I'm going to select YouTube. Now, if you search for something and you don't get any results, chances are you're either, one, using Internet Explorer, or two, there's something disabled in your browser window like a gray shield that's preventing you from seeing this content, okay? So you can either watch the demonstration or you can try to go up and work with your tools and see what's going on with your browser. But that's what typically happens. So I'm going to search for a video on something that we're learning in class. So maybe it's osmosis. And I can choose what language I would like the video to be in. Sometimes you don't get any results if you narrow that down too much. And then I can just click Go. And it's going to sort by relevance, but I can certainly sort by view count, so I want to see which was the most viewed video, or the date too, because some of them are going to be pretty outdated if I don't check the date. So I can take a look here and I can read about this. I can see how long the video is. I can see the rating, and I can see a little description. Okay. I can also preview this. Instead of selecting it right away, I can preview it just to make sure that it's the one that I want before I embed it in my course. So if I click on Preview, it allows me to play it here before I select it. Okay, so you can do that. And I'm going to just select the first one for the sake of pulling in a video. Now, once I select it, Blackboard gives me some tools around it. I can change the title if I don't think that it's clear. I can retitle this. I can also choose how my students are going to view it. So do I want them to see just a little thumbnail on the page, or do I want to actually have the video player? Because what's nice about this is sometimes when you embed a video, like you saw the one that I pulled in earlier from YouTube, it takes up a lot of space on the page. And maybe I have a lot of text, and so I just want a thumbnail. And then when the student clicks the thumbnail, it'll open the bigger player. So this kind of saves me some room on the page. Okay. Show the YouTube URL. You can choose to show that or not. A lot of people have, this is very interesting, it's kind of both sides of the story here. Some people say, I don't want to show the YouTube video because I don't want my students to go to YouTube and then they get distracted looking around on YouTube and forget to come back to class, right? It's a good argument. Some people say, no, I need to show the YouTube URL because what if the video doesn't play? Then at least they have the URL, they can copy it and paste it and try to go to it that way. So it's really up to you. You can show the YouTube information or not, okay? So now I'll click Submit, and it puts in this nice little thumbnail for me. And I can type some text around it. You know, I can tell students to watch this video, and we will discuss in the discussion forum, whatever it's going to be, okay? Or watch this video as a review of what we read, okay? All kinds of things like that. Now, when you're adding these kinds of mashups, you just want to make sure, for best practice's sake, you know, that you save everything, submit it, and turn off your editing mode and make sure it plays. You want to test these things out, okay? Just because you submit it on the page doesn't guarantee that it's going to render properly for your students. So just give it a quick test before you do that. Some other things on the bottom row, I'm going to guess you're not going to use a lot of emoticons, but if you wanted to use the little smileys, you could. There is a table here too. The table is very dynamic, so if you start typing in the table, it will adjust to your font. So I'll show you that. I'll insert a table here. I'll just do 2 rows of 2. And, oh, that's not very good. There we go. And if I start typing, it starts adjusting my rows. Whoops. I think I just deleted my table. Undo. There it is. Okay. So you see how it adjusts as I keep typing? The table adjusts to me. Okay. And of course, in the settings, you can change the formatting of the table, and you can also change all of the borders and so forth on here. If I highlight my table, I have table properties. I can also add cells. All of those are in there once I select the table. So if tables are something that you use, that's one to play around with and really see how it works. Okay? So that's the editor in a nutshell. Now this is a page, so if I scroll down here, other things I can do, I can also attach something here to my page. And then I can also select my date restrictions like I could with the other one. Yep, you can certainly import a table from Word. You can just copy and paste it right in. Yep. Copying and pasting from Word works a lot better than it did in Angel. So I'm going to submit my page. And I'm going to turn my edit mode off and take a look at how my page looks. So there's my video from YouTube, there's my image, here's the player, the osmosis video that I put in, and then there's my chart. Okay? So it's, you know, it's not pretty or anything, but it's certainly showing you the functionality of how all of that works. Okay? So I'm going to back up here to my training folder, and there's my page. Now you'll notice under Build Content that there are also other ways of bringing in audio and video and images, and YouTube and Flickr. So if I don't want them embedded on a blank page, I can use these tools to make them objects. Okay? So you can do it this way too. You can either have them embedded on a page, or you can actually have them as separate items right here along your, all in your learning modules. Okay. Do you have questions about this page and anything that we did on it? Feel free to raise your hand or use the talk button or type in the chat. Links versus embedding. So I do. part of the issue with links is if you just do a web link here, what it's going to give you is a little link icon with a title, and once you click that title, it launches. So my recommendation is actually to use an item because it's small. You can put the link here, but you could also put a description for the student about what they should do when they go to that link, right? Or what's the purpose, something around it. Because simply doing a web link here just puts the hyperlink. It doesn't give you the space to really delineate what they should do. With the shield makes me not want to do the link. Oh, yeah. Right, because of it not launching. So with embedding the link on the blank page is less of a problem. Yeah. I know, and yeah, having the directions is important. Otherwise, it's just a link sitting static on the page, you know, so it doesn't really give the student much direction about it. Okay, I'm going to go out of app sharing for a moment, and I'm going to return to our slides, and then we're going to elicit some questions too, if you have some about what we've been doing. You can upload an MP4. I'm not entirely well-versed in audio to know if that is, you know, the preferred format, but you can certainly embed that. And embedding things helps it to render better for the students because then they're not downloading. Oh, gotcha. Okay, it's a video. So because when you embed it, the student opens it right there in Blackboard. It's not the student is not trying to download it. Whereas if it's a link, it's being, you know, downloaded. Same, yeah, the same with audio. All right, let's take a little review, and we'll see if we can leave some time for everybody if they have questions. So if you could raise your hand if you can answer one of these questions and would also like to. That's the second part, right? Not just can you, but would you like to? Great. Sasha, which one would you like to do? You can either talk or type. Totally up to you. Okay, the mashup tool. So how can we use that? Or how can you use that in whatever you teach? Yep, inserting YouTube videos. Yep, good. That is its most common use, absolutely, but it's a great way to embed outside content and bring it into your course. Yeah, or pictures. Good. David, I thought I saw you next. Did you? Oh, Maureen. Maureen, which one would you like to help us with? So we've had number 1 answered. David, a folder holds a lesson, right? Yep, and a module is many folders. Yep. So a module can be one folder. It's just that when you open that folder, you will have a lot of content in there. Your course may be made up of many folders, right? So you might have a folder for week 1, week 2, week 3. One of the other things about that structure, though, is if that doesn't work for you, what some folks do is they will also, they might, especially if you're web enhancing your course, instead of organizing it by weeks or modules, you might have a folder that's just for PowerPoints, a folder for lecture notes, a folder for, you know, discussions, a folder for tests. So you can organize it by tools also, if that makes more sense to you. Yeah, it does depend on how much you have to say. It's true. Okay, how about Maureen? Oh, that's okay. Do you want to type? Which question did you want to answer for us? All right. So David talked a little bit about the folder. Yeah, file. Okay, so file. I see where you are. File is just a file. That's right. but an item gives you a little bit more room, right? And then a blank page gives you the most real estate, really, and that's where you can do the embedding. Jennifer, did I see your hand up? I thought I saw another one. I may have cleared you accidentally. Okay, great. And then who can help us with the last one? What activities a student might find in a typical module? What else might be in there? Marcia, can you help us out with that? Marcia's typing. And Sharon, you can type too or talk, either way. We can all answer that. Just objectives, right? Discussions, groups, PowerPoints, reports, all of that. Great. Course information. Lectures, test pages, right? Good. Looks good. Oh, audio. Oh, it might be. Yep, that was me. Go figure. Sorry about that. I was prohibiting all of you from talking. That's right. That's a good point. Really, anything that you would do in a class, right? That's what you would construct inside that module. So if I'm going to do these activities in class this week, that's what would go in my module. When in doubt, Maureen, it's probably me. So it's okay. All right, great. Thank you. So let's take a look then. I want to leave you some time. Preview of Workshop 3. So in Workshop 3, we're going to focus on the next section in those teacher tools. We did build content today. We're going to skip over assessment until the 4th section, but tools is where we're going to find all of those things that we can help build interaction with our students. So we're going to explore discussion forums. That's the bulk of the time is discussion forums, really. Some blogs, journals, wikis. We're going to look at course announcements and other communication tools. Okay, so engagement and interaction is the focus of Workshop 3. And yes, you will have access to those courses. I just need to remind you that other trainings will be happening between now and then, and people will be in them. So, you know, should you be doing something, that's fine, but it could be reset at the end of the day, or it might not be there when you go back in. But if you just needed a space to go in and play and try something, you could do that. Or your campus, if you don't have a practice course on your campus Blackboard, you can talk to your instructional designer and they can set you up with one. So do we have any kinds of questions or anything that people would like to see again or talk about? I will leave the last 10 minutes for that. If anyone needs to go, please feel free. I just want to make sure that I allow time for people who maybe needed to see something again or ask some questions that they didn't get to. So for those of you that need to leave, thank you for your attention, and I'll see you again soon.